All right, YouTube, we should be live here as we are researching today's slate. 728. Want to have a quick discussion with you about yesterday, because when we talk about sports betting, you talk about variance, you talk about unexpected events, and you can't have it much bigger than yesterday. When Zach Wheeler and CJ Abrams are going to be two of my by far main plays of the slate. And what do we find out? We find out that Zach Wheeler is getting rocked a bit, and they pull him after 3 innings. That hasn't happened literally all season. He did give up 5 earned runs in 3 innings, but the third inning he went scoreless, and he gets 2 strikeouts each inning. So we put in major bets at 6.5 and 7.5 Ks. He's sitting at 6 Ks after 3 innings, 2 strikeouts per inning. And what do you know? They pull him the beginning of the fourth inning, like literally unheard of. I have no idea where that came from. And then, CJ Abrams, everything just screams that we're going to absolutely destroy Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer, he is a crafty veteran, so we should give him probably credit here. But literally, the guy walks Abrams, which is smart. I mean, he gets around it. So walks our player twice. Then we go PCA. They walk him twice. I got bets on Mead, which is something I want to talk about with advice. FanDuel and DraftKings both at least have, I would say, relatively decent injury policies, especially DraftKings. There's a reason why they're the leaders in the industry. The score.bet, I got to be honest, like I keep using them. It's a dog shit site. The only thing you want to do is use them when odds are really show that there is a clear edge. And I mean a clear edge. Perfect example, Curtis Mead. I have him on Fanatics and the score, one for a home run and one for bases. He gets hit in the hand the very first at bat and gone. Fanatics and score both have it as just lost bets. Apparently the score.bet does not give a crap. You're not getting your money back. Fanatics, apparently I can reach out. It's still a pain in the ass. DraftKings would have just auto voided these bets. They've got people in place. So now I got to go through the hassle to get my quarter unit back for hopefully at least from Fanatics. And as far as the score, I mean, it just reminds me why I want to avoid that site at all costs. Honestly, like literally you keep very little money on there. Once in a while on Fanatics and the score, I will tell you, they will have an outlier. They're going to have something like plus 50 variance from the normal lines. So you keep them there for those plus 50s, but do not use this like plus 15, plus 10 pass. Stick with your DraftKings facts. So there's my little synopsis from yesterday, a little start off. The other thing I want to talk to you a little bit about is weather. And I was thinking about it a little bit last night, and here is my advice on that. Weather and Major League Baseball, I treat it like bass fishing. If you know bass fishing and there's a storm incoming, prime, right? Risk it, stay out on the lake. The bass are eating when it is pre-storm. Post-storm takes all the energy. You are not catching fish post-storm. And it's the same with MLB offenses. The energy and the atmosphere helps. Trust me on this. You're going to see better pop off those bats when you are pre-storm. You post-storm, just know that it takes a lot of the humidity, takes a lot of the energy out of the atmosphere. The ball just tends to be a little more dead. These are, again, all of this I tell you, and everything about the site. You talk about, the guy from Stochastic is one of the leaders of the industry. He does say one thing that is pretty true, and that is price over probability. He says it all the time. In all these scenarios, when we talk about what we do here at the Edgeboard, is we're looking at things that give you positive EV. We're looking at things that we think sim properly. And when we talk about the EV edge, well, what is an EV edge? It's basically saying at the price you're getting at this time, you have better price over probability. But what needs to be clear here is that in all of these scenarios, you're generally seeing things sim probability 58%. A lot of the bets I'm going to show you, I am a big plus money bettor in baseball. Baseball is a binary type statistic. Baseball versus, especially NBA is probably my, you're going to see me really excel and give you some excellent analysis in NBA. I'm going to hold myself up against anyone. Baseball, I've come a long way. The big thing to understand with baseball, these are binary wins in most situations. This first stat doesn't apply, but in a lot of cases, you're talking a home run. It's binary, 1 or 0. An RBI, 1 or 0. Yes, we say maybe a lot of times you're going to see me play a lot of times 1.5 bases. Even that, though, is still a lot of times a binary. You're either hitting it or not. In other words, it's not, are you going to score 16 points? And then do you look at, okay, well, maybe it is smarter to go with 15 points. In baseball, the odds, why I'm trying to say binary is in 0.5 bases versus 1.5 bases is the difference of any EV at all and laying just stupid lines. Minus 240 for 0.5 bases, plus 110, 1.5 bases. So even though truly, it's 1.5 bases, to me, it's still very binary. You're either going to hit it or you don't. So it's very important to know in baseball, like when we talk about a good bet, that bet is still often telling you you're barely over 50% chance to hit that bet in most cases. A lot of times you're barely below 50%. So those things are very important taking a place. So why do I go back to this? I kind of jumped around. The rain situation is huge. When you talk about the St. Louis Cubs game, I was betting some bets on that game because there was not rain in the forecast. And that it was unbelievably hot and humidity was going up. And so yes, maybe I should have realized when it's that hot. I live in the Midwest. I live in Missouri. Having a late afternoon storm is certainly in the equation. It wasn't predicted. It wasn't in the forecast. And so that game gets delayed by an hour and a half. Now it's way later at night. The energy's out of the atmosphere. So just to be honest with you, like I do, one of the things we really pride ourselves in the Edgeboard, and I'm going to tell you this against some competitors, you're going to see guys, and again, I hate to point out Stochastic, he loves to point out his wins, but he really isn't all that accountable. He has admitted of late several days of losses. We try to be pretty transparent. Last night was not a good night for me. And so when you talk about it post rain, like that just destroyed that Cubs Cardinal game, in my opinion, in a lot of aspects. So there's that. Anyway, let's talk about tonight's slate. I have one of the things when you get on our site right off the bat, it talks about conditions. It gives you this wonderful pop-up, talks about some games that we think are sim, what we're looking at, what we like, who are some possible players we like, things like that. It's giving you just a really good overview. I don't want to take too much time on that. I always advise when you start betting any Major League Baseball slate, you really should be looking at 3 things right off the bat. You should be looking at weather, because we just talked about it. Stadiums have an impact of what the outcomes of these games are, and your pitchers. So we take all that into account right off the bat just to say, hey, here's what we're thinking. And then what's really nice is it can take you straight to props tied to that game. In this scenario here, what we're going to do, I've already kind of done a little bit of research on that. And my strategy for today, I will be honest with you, is we're going to go pretty heavy. And again, I say this, there's another thing I don't like. Last night, Cleveland at Cincinnati gets rained out. And now they're playing a doubleheader. So they're playing a game early today. That's another variance factor. I got to be honest with you. When you have games that are not planned, players react differently. If you know sports, you know sports. You've got an NFL game, it's got certain momentum, and a thunderstorm comes in an NFL game early in the year, and they all have to go back into the locker room for an hour and a half. It's a different football game afterwards. Not always, but there's variance. And I'm going to play the first game of the day pretty heavy, and that could be a big mistake, to be honest, because of variance. This was not scheduled. The players show up to the stadium last night. They do all their warm up. Pitchers start to stretch. Things happen, and now they're told that they're not playing. These are things you have to keep in mind. Now, with that said, there's just too many things I like about this game that I really do think we need to kind of hone in, look at some things here. This, again, some of our great tools here. We're going to go ahead and filter to this first game. I have not looked at this at all. Now, one thing you got to learn, this is very important. We've got two dramatically different games going on today. So when we're looking at game one and game two, I think game one very much sides to Cincinnati. Game two, Cincinnati hasn't even announced its starter. And it looks like Cleveland's going with Gavin Williams. I'm not going to touch game two today. That's another thing. I don't touch game twos of double headers. At that point, my day's busy. And you have to really know what happened that first game to have what I would consider a good enough analysis to go into the second game. If I were to lean, right, we're just going to tell you leans right off the bat. Well, I have expectations for game one, pro Cincinnati. Again, variance has got me a little scared, but I'm still going to pursue it. Game two, Gavin Williams, I'm going to turn around and say that that's going to side with Cleveland. So there you go. We do not filter between game ones and twos. So it is important when you start looking at these games to analyze, make sure you're looking at that, right? Make sure, am I looking at game one or game two? Because again, let's rewind. Brady Singer, they have not announced Brady Singer's pitching game two. So Gavin Williams versus Brady Singer, yeah, like if the game, I'll probably have it on while I'm at work. Again, I'm a professional. I'm a mortgage loan officer. This is a passion of mine, the Edgeboard, and but it's a hobby. I'll be at work. I'll have the game. I'll try to pay attention to the game. But yeah, all indications are Brady Singer generally is versus Gavin Williams is very heavy sided to Cleveland. Game one, we've got Chase Burns. Since he's ace, he's had an excellent record. Cincinnati supports him against Slade Ciccone, who did start the year pretty strong, struggled mightily of late. So let's go ahead and we're going to just highlight this game. I changed my odds in baseball. Now you're going to see this vary. And if we have time, we're probably going to dig into the WNBA here in a little bit. There is a promotion tied to a WNBA promotion. So it kind of depends on time. To be honest, I'm late filming today. So looking that it's already 9:20 Central when I'm going live right now, probably going to have to just call it after MLB. I really want to show you some of what we like. Look, NBA, baby, we are going to cook come NBA season on the Edgeboard. I'm just telling you right now, we're going to cook. WNBA, you know, let's be frank. I don't watch WNBA. I follow it very, very loosely. I'm really depending on our data to give you some insight there. So anyway, we're going to kick it off here. One of my favorite things on the Edgeboard is we look for elite matchups. And again, positive EV. We're trying to combine the two. Now, sometimes when we talk about positive EV, you will see our site show things that don't show positive EV. But our site, while we have a gazillion things that I absolutely love, we do not draw live lines, maybe as from enough sources, maybe not as often. I think as you see our user base increase, you're going to see this part of the tool also get better. But for now, there are times that you'll see that you might see this line show a negative 0.4%, but in truth, the line is higher than what we're showing. We do show what we think lines are trending. I probably cost myself some EV by waiting this late in the day to get this out to you folks. But we are going to focus on game one right now. We're going to focus on some batters. So right off the bat, what are we looking at? We have some sim probabilities based on lines that are generally plus money or 120 or higher. So you'll see a lot of alt lines. We're going to look at Nathaniel Lowe right off the bat. This was good, strong EV last night. I actually am going to stick with this again today. We're looking at Lowe versus Slade Ciccone. They haven't, I don't believe, even yet, even though I'm late. I don't think we've announced lineups. No. He was going to be batting cleanup yesterday. I still think that's probably the case. He hits this guy well. Again, what are the things that we look at in our stats here? We're looking at that he hits righties fairly well. We know that Slade Ciccone isn't that strong. We look at how does he hit Slade. Now, I will admit this isn't the greatest. For whatever reason, our data showing how he hits Slade is not showing up here. I don't know why. Again, this could be a game one, game two glitch. It was showing it last night, but clearly a favorable matchup. It's saying that the pen is not the best. But when we look down here, it is showing that, yeah, it's actually missing this. This is interesting. So we are having a little bit of a game one, game two glitch going on right now. I'll mention this to my dev. I don't know why this got pulled out of the data, but you look at how he hits his pitch types, and he squares up against his pitch types well. That's the bottom line. So we are going to go back. We are going to look live. We're going to look at some Nathaniel Lowe. Now, another thing you can do when you point out a matchup you like, you can come up here and also search it, see what else fits under this matchup here. So now we can look almost specifically at Nathaniel Lowe. What do we like? It's talking about game one and two. We're really going to focus. Look at the difference, by the way. Look at our sim model. Isn't that interesting against two different batters? Let's take this off of this because I just want to look at this further. Last night, again, variance is really high here, but I want to see what our best EV edges are. We know the total bases. We're probably not going to go at the hits. Again, we've got game one, game two variance here, which makes us a little more confusing. Singles plus money, not really giving us positive EV there. Interesting. The one that's kind of moved a little bit disappointing here is it looks like the home run. Okay, here's game one. Is now moved to a little bit negative EV. I am going to re-look at this. So basically what we were looking at for game one is giving him the full slate. And this isn't ideal because, again, we're looking at data that's between two games. This isn't the norm, right? But we are going to go ahead and we are going to give Lowe, based on where I think his lineup projects, where he's at. We are going to go ahead and bet this. I'm literally going to live bet this with you. And it talks a little bit more about odds. So, okay, interesting. It looks like my bets might actually all be live for today, that this game was postponed, but that maybe folks kept these active. That's interesting. Let's see here. I thought the game was just simply canceled, but if it's going postponed, you're not going to see me placing any bets because the bets are still live. Let's see here. Why is it showing? Is this a Pickett error? No, it's showing these were refunded, I believe. Let's check the look real quick. Why on earth did Pickett think that these bets were live? I think these were refunded. We'll look again though. So right off the bat, let's talk about one. We talked about Lowe home run was showing negative EV. It's actually plus 400. By the way, let's go back to this. Weather right now is predicted 86 degrees with 10-mile-per-hour winds going out to right center field. Again, right-handed pitcher, left-handed batter, wind going out in Cincinnati ballpark, right? So do I think Nathaniel Lowe is crushing home runs? Absolutely not. Has he hit some of late? Yes. But what are we really looking at? We're looking at the fact that this guy is hitting home runs of late in literally some of the best conditions you can look at. 86-degree temperature, wind blowing the right center in a great ballpark with a hittable pitcher. Now, what's the negative? It's still post-rain. I just talked to you about post-rain. Well, the rain happened last night. So some of the energy is out of the park. That's probably the one negative. FanDuel has two 25% boost available today for home runs. FanDuel, the top odds I show right now, plus 400. We're actually going to boost this to plus 500. So look, you want to talk about now EV. Do we think price versus probability? Is it highly likely Nathaniel Lowe hits a home run? Not really. The guy's had an off year. It's probably, you're looking at what our site showed, about 20%. I hate that this is doing the game 1, game 2. I really would like if we could figure out a way to get this to pick, add this. It might be something I'll talk to my dev about. Can we have it say game 1 or 2, just because it makes it a lot cleaner, right? Let's just do this. Again, you can literally, this site is amazing. Let's just look at home runs. That's going to make it a lot cleaner. So our game 1 home run has it about a 20% chance, said negative EV, because it thinks we're at plus 333. But that's not true. We're at plus 500. That makes a whole world of difference when we're looking at using this boost. FanDuel happens to be the top odds. I wouldn't use this boost on him if it wasn't the fact that lines up perfectly with that. Now, what I look to do to strategize from there is I really look to what can I do to offset the $5? It's a high risk bet, right? Do you folks understand that? Betting home runs in general, a high risk bet. We look at where's he at in a batting lineup. And when I look at a batting lineup, I want to know, does this guy have himself in a position to produce traffic, RBIs versus runs scored? So what we know with Lowe, at least again, lineup still not announced, is that we think he is going to probably have a good chance at an RBI. He has a decent chance at getting the bases. We're looking at game 1 here. I don't know why it's thinking he has a lower probability, quite frankly, against Slade than Gavin. That I find interesting. Roughly showing the same. Let's see again what is probably our site's weakness is lines definitely aren't always as accurate. And again, plus 165 doesn't show positive EV, but on BetMGM, I'm getting plus 190 for this guy to hit an RBI. I think he's going to be batting 4th again. You couldn't ask for a better spot. So again, probably, am I saying this is a great offset bet? Probably not. I'm probably going a little heavier on Lowe than I would advise. But at plus 190 for a single RBI, yeah, he's done it 50% of the time. Yeah, I'm going with it. And then the last one, let's look at his bases. He has been pretty good with the total bases. On this last one, this is more of a recovery bet. We're not going to, again, though, great plus. My game 1, this is showing huge EV. So we're just going to go with this. I would say I've already risked $10 on Nathaniel Lowe. Again, a guy I don't love. I like him this game, right? I like him this game. I wish they released the damn lineup. It's getting, we're already at 9:30 in the morning, but hey, 50% chance, 4.3. Let's see what it's showing now this morning. Now this is interesting. This was the one that had me confused. It's acting as if this line is still live, which is at plus 145 with BetMGM. So let's go ahead and go over to BetMGM. BetMGM, by the way, I do like the site. I will tell you that because of my success betting, BetMGM no longer likes me. They offer me 0. Yeah, it's cleared. So Pickett's a little confused today. As far as open bets, it's not showing this as an open bet. So we're going to go and place this right now at plus 145. I mean, plus 145 for two bases. Again, high variance. We're going to go ahead. I went with literally what I would, everyone has their own unit size. So for me, I put what I call a quarter unit on the RBI, a quarter unit on the home run. We're going to bump this up to a third unit as a hope that it does have the highest probability for success. It's showing great positive money. And the goal there then is that worst case scenario, with that being again a plus 145 bet, my payout on this one on a third unit is close to $20. That even if he just gets the bases, but not the RBI or the home run, then we come out at even plus money, slight win. That's where we're at. Now, what's the negative of that? If Nathaniel Lowe sucks today, then, and again, high variance, you have to be willing to understand that this is a part of baseball. It's a binary sport, much higher variance in baseball than you're going to see in the NBA streets. Anyway, we got out of Nathaniel Lowe. We're going to look at, again, we're going to go back to our positive EV elite matchups, just focusing on this game. What else do we see here? Game one. We're not betting anything against Chase Burns. Silly. It's currently now showing this as our only favorable plus EV bet that I like. Last night, this is what pisses me off when you get a rain out. Last night, this game was screaming favorable matchups and positive EV. It also had an unbelievable under that was both. No longer showing positive EV. Let's see what the under, if it even shows it now. Oh, this is depressing. This is depressing. Like, it's just showing me all kinds of things that are so different now. Wow. I literally last night had a great bet on Slade Ciccone. So doing this live, and this is so interesting. It actually likes the under on bases for Ellie De La Cruz. I feel like I'll be honest. I think I need to talk to my dev again, and we are a developing site. I think the doubleheader is confusing the shit out of our systems right now. I honestly do. So this is a little unfortunate when I'm highlighting this as the first game. I think that what we need to do is really just go back to some of the things I know. And here's what I know. Ciccone looked like a really good bet for a couple unders last night. Let's just see what they look like now. Well, there we go. I'm an idiot. I still had total bases highlighted. That's why we were having some things not show the way they were showing. Let's. All right, so here I am getting yelling at the site. It's user error. Let's see if these still show up now. There we go. This showed last night. I think the lines moved. I think this was plus money. Our boy Slade. All right, so he clears strikeouts last night at 5. That was the first time he's hit it out of the last, 2, 4, 6. So 1 for 6, 8 for 10. This guy doesn't strike out people. Cincy in this scenario, I feel this is again a little unfortunate. This was a plus money bet last night. It's still showing as positive EV, basically flatline. This is the depressing thing when you get a 108. I literally had this at plus 105 last night. DraftKings is offering this at minus 108 at time of bet. I still like it enough. Minus 108, clearly positive EV over what we had. All right, DraftKings, why is the bet not generating? Now it is. I'm going to go ahead and still put 3/4 of a unit on this. I like that. Now let's look at one other factor as a whole. We talk about, I want to look at Lefties really are hitting Slade pretty good. That was our only under at positive EV. I kind of agree with that still. Yeah. Let's go back now that I hit all props. Let's see what happened here. Holy cow. Confusing the hell out of the system. Lines might have moved even more. Oh. I had Saccone highlighted. Sheesh. I have the screen blown way up, folks, for this to stream properly. So give me a little bit of grace here. The system in itself, it's harder to read because I have this blown up for this to stream properly for you. So let's take a look and see if anything else plays. We saw that. No, it doesn't. We're going to move to now, instead of elite, let's just look at favorable. Favorable in these streets. See what we show. Game one, again, what am I really looking at? Wind blowing out to right field, helping out our lefties versus our game one. So again, there's our confusion. Now Elly De La Cruz shows as a favorable matchup, showing that he has only hit 40%, but that's at a 2.5% line. In this scenario, again, terrible pitcher. For whatever reason, it's not showing his stats from how it faces an individual batter. Elly is a switch hitter. You look at his quality of contact, overall, left hand versus right hand. He is barreling the ball much better as a righty this year than he is a lefty. He's still, I mean, look at these stats. This dude is Elly De La Cruz. It's still Slade Saccone. What are we not going to do? He's not, his hard hit is slightly lower, sweet spot higher, launch angle's about the same, but I think what concerns me, barrel rate 10.6 versus 17%. You know, you look at better batting average. I mean, maybe it's me overthinking this. I could see him hitting a home run as well, to be honest. I can. I think what we're going to do, because right now we're having, it's not showing me the 1.5 alt that I prefer it shows me, but I think we're just going to stick with, we know Elly's leaning off the lineup. We know that one of the bets that people overbet is HRR. That's not going to be a positive EV play. I do think that his 1.5 basis, if it's anything close to even money or positive money, I'm going to go with the 1.5 basis as a much bigger production. And here we go. DraftKings has this exactly even money. I mean, to be honest, half unit play I'd be good with. I'm going to stick with 3/4 of a unit because, again, there is high variance for this game. Overall, we haven't released the lineups. I will tell you that there was a play that I loved earlier, and I think I'm going to go ahead and go with this. Let's look at a different part of our site. We're not going to go with any other. We're not looking at anything else this game, to be honest. There is some decent righties against Slade. It's not like this guy's great against righties either. But we're going to switch this up here. We're now going to look at our team matchups. I want to just look at what our site thinks on some team matchups. Now, I do have this probably butchered because I got to spread this out a little bit more. Our team matchups do not, and this is for my dev here, I have Cleveland Cincinnati as my focus game. I will be honest, our team matchups do not show focus on specifically team matchups, right? Even though I have Cincinnati, Cleveland as a focus line. This is a play I've hardly ever done, but I honestly feel this strongly about it. Look, our site gives Cincinnati a 60% chance. It's showing it barely minus EV, and this is the one suggestion I continue to give you for our site that I have to admit. Again, our lines tend to be a little more conservative, so I'm hopping on right now. Well, you know what? I hate to say it, the lines moved. So this was 135 earlier in the day. So this is slight negative EV, but we're going to go with a little fun play here. What we're going to do, we're going to ladder this. Now, I do get a 30% profit boost on FanDuel, which was the top line for this. So we're going to go ahead and go with our 30% boost, actually. So I'm going to change the strategy a little bit. There's just too much about this game. When I look at what we're facing here right now, I really love Cincinnati game one. And by the way, this is also a betting strategy I want to share with you folks. You look at trying to make every day a profitable day, and you can base your day on this. I feel pretty strongly about this game one. So in that situation, what are we looking to do? What we're looking to do is see if we can't just start the day out on a positive note. We have one game in the afternoon with a 4-hour break. It's not a bad idea at times to bet your first game and maybe just stop, hold off. Let's see what happens. If we're plus money, do you call it a day? Maybe, right? You're walking away with a win. If you're plus money, do you tighten up the reins? Maybe at a minimum. Yeah, right? Let's tighten it up. Let's walk away every day. It is hard. Betting is not an easy thing to be profitable at. Let's be clear. So if you can get ahead game one, why not let that change your momentum a little bit and call it a tighter day or call it a day. Now, with this said, the 30% boost greatly changes the EV factor here. So again, using your boost for your positive EV plays in this scenario, if you were to call this a minus 121 with a 60% probability, I'm not going to bore you. I could show you what the EV play is on that. But in this scenario, it's saying, like, to give you an example, which again, this site, man, it gives you everything. 61.2% is what you need at minus 158. Clearly, if we're at minus 121, we're way above EV now. So we're going to go ahead and put a pretty significant amount on this. I do think this is a 1-unit play because of the fact that I do get that positive EV. So I'm placing 1 unit on this game now. Then, and now, what's the negative? Let's be clear. What's the negative? I told you earlier, it's a high variance game, whether you like it or not. They were supposed to play last night. I love this more last night. Now what we're going to do is we're also going to look at Cincinnati as a... Oh, Jesus. Why is it doing this? It's not letting me go right to it. Pickett sometimes is dog shit. I got to be honest. Run lines. Here we go. It was taking me to the wrong run line. So what we're going to do is we're going to stagger this baby. We're going to go with the full bet with that juice, Cincy to win. Then we're going to push this even further. We're going to take Cincy's run line. We're going to go minus the 1.5 run. Let's look at the run line. Let's see what our site says. Maybe it's going to tell me no. Cincy minus 1.5 1. So now look, this is important when you talk about run lines. You know, you look at what's our best EV edge. Again, love the Edgeboard. You can sort everything, right? So now let's go to our EV edge. And it's saying, by the way, this is another one I want to talk about at the top of this. Maybe right here. But yeah, Dean Creamer. I don't know how he pronounced his last name. It's probably Kramer. But I'm going to tell you right now, Troy Melton, good. Creamer gets creamed. That's one we're going to have to refocus on that. That's another earlier game. But where are we at on this? So we're not as in love. We are liking 48.6, right? A little better chance. Not our top EV play here. But look, we're getting plus money. And then again, here, plus 128. I'm actually getting plus 134 on Cincinnati. Now look, we're overplaying Cincinnati at this point. We gave it a full unit just to win the game. What I'm trying to show you here is, like, do you really need to go heavy on a run line in this scenario, especially now that I come out walking away? Variance, right? Cincinnati might have decided to all go hit the bar. Game got canceled. They got all drunk last night. I mean, if you study MLB, right? This. I throw this out there. This ain't like I'm just throwing out bullshit, right? There is a chance these boys come out hung over. So that's why I hate these. But again, maybe this is the gamble in me. It's telling you you're getting the same odds as if it was a 43% chance. We give it a 49% chance, 44, 49, 5%. There's your plus EV, plus money. You know what? I'm just going to put 5 on this. I think this is more just me wanting to track it. I'll be frank. My original play was probably to try to break even on the money line, but then make my money on the run line. But we're going to go ahead and put a quarter unit play just to keep it as a bookmark to see where it's at. And why? Probably because also, like, I don't think I've laddered a team. This is my first play doing this, so I don't want to overbet this one. But it's basically like a ladder, right? You do a ladder for strikeouts. Now I'm doing a ladder on money line versus run line. So, that may not be, you look at this and say, hey, Matt, you're supposed to be providing us guidance. I might research this more and be told that was one of the dumbest fucking things to ever do in the world. So who knows? That's game one. We spent way too much time on game one. They still didn't even release the lineups. That's crazy as of yet. So, hey, there you go. Let's go to the next game in the books that I show. Next game in the books. We're going to look at Arizona at Pittsburgh. It's much cooler now. The wind is still going out. It rained a ton there last night after the game. Both starters have had good last 3 outings. So if you look at MLB right now, you're looking at Bubba Chandler and Brandon Pfaadt. I think that at the end of the day, I'm sorry. Let's rewind on that. There's a chance of rain. I think that we are going to avoid this game. You could look to see, is there an elite bat with the wind blowing out? I do believe it's blowing out to right center again. So if you were to want to search the website, I mean, heck, we'll take a little extra time here. Let me just check, see how crazy my day is going so far. This is taking longer than I thought. Yeah, I mean, nothing that's making me feel too concerned. So again, if you were to look at this, what would I say when I look at something like this? I mean, quite honestly, we're going to take these two teams. We're going to literally look for elite, positive EV only. Does anything scream out to me on this? Nope. We pass. There's nothing about the game. I mean, it is giving us a 9 over under, but there wasn't a specific bat. Last night, I hate to say it, one of the hottest batters, Esmeralda Valdez, gets hurt. Several people got hurt last night. Casey Schmidt, Valdez. I just brought up Curtis Mead literally gets traded to Boston, and his very first at bat, the pitcher hits him in the hand. There you go. Poor Boston. What a deal there. All right, now let's move to a very interesting game to me. I hate Marlins Park. I really do hate Marlins Park. I got to tell you, this kind of pointed out to me something, and we're going to research this live together right now. I'm just curious. On this game, Miami's Park does suppress offense. Let's be clear. Miami's Park suppresses offense. I think this 8 is low. I really do. And the reason why, and we're showing it basically around, we're giving this a 53.9% over. So it's not screaming off the charts. Interesting enough, we really like the game I just said. The thing about this one is the rain factor. It's just too much of an unknown. Two biggest rain factors today are the top two games. And it goes back to bass fishing. Let's say these storms hold off. There's a ton of energy in the air. Look, this is me running through some things right now. Keep your eye on these games, right? I don't know how active of a bettor you are. Those two games, if it looks like the rain's holding off and all that energy's in the air, I actually don't hate either of that. This one's interesting to me. An 8 is a little low. Okay. We are given that even money. Why do I want to look at this a little more? Let's just, for the heck of it, let's just look at this, because what I saw was kind of interesting. Sandy Alcantara is a pretty good pitcher, but there were some interesting props that I saw. And again, if this is in Philly ballpark, all day long, all day long. And I think the problem is we're not going to call these favorable matchups except against Aaron Nola. So sometimes you got to go outside the stats, and you really got to look at who we have going up against the pitcher, right? We know the Philly lineup, and we know that Alcantara is a righty. And if you just kind of go with some of your prime guys, it was kind of, I mean, right off the bat, Trey Turner. Now, we're not calling it a favorable matchup because okay, am I losing my mind? Why do we not think? Interesting. Okay. What we got going on here? Site might be having a little glitchy. We're going to just log out. I think what happened is we might have a new data upload coming through. Maybe something's pushing through right now. Interesting. Well, you know what? We're going to actually just call this our video for today. To be honest, I was late running this, and there we go. It was meant to be. You know what? That was an interesting insight when I talk about playing game one, right? I should retitle this. This is game one analysis. What are some things I wanted to point out? Interesting history with some Philadelphia lefties and Trey Turner against Sandy Alcantara. I think looking at that as an over. And then we kind of pointed it out. So let's just talk about one other game. Texas Tampa Bay is kind of an earlier game. Let's avoid that game. Some good pitchers there. It's not a great park. But I will tell you that Orioles at Detroit, it really matches up that Detroit's going to clobber the Orioles. The Orioles, their bats are terrible. Troy Melton's strong. Creamer's getting creamed. That 1.5 run line, take a good look at that. We might hop on again later. We're still at very early phases here at the Edgeboard. So you're going to see more content as we move forward. But I'm going to sign out for now. We got to head to the real world. We're going to head on over to work. We gave you that game one analysis. We're going big on Cincinnati. We're going big with the run line. We're doing that. We're laddering, which I've never done. So let's see, maybe I pop on another video later. But right now I will tell you that my eyes are kind of focused in on that Detroit taking Baltimore out game. And then I would say use that search function of Edgeboard and look at some history specifically between between some of these Philadelphia batters versus Sandy Alcantara. Aaron Nola's been struggling lately. So if anything, I'm leaning towards the over on that game. So there you go. That's going to be a wrap for this early stream. You guys have a wonderful day out there. Ish